This is Sniper signing in to Command & Conquer Red Alert 3, continuing the best of 5 series between Maniek and Tingu, spawning in on Fire Island. Let's take a look at our players. Spawning on the south side, we have the one, the only, he's currently down 0-1 in the series. This is Maniek. Spawning also on the northeast-ish side of Fire Island. He is currently up 1-0. This is Tingu. Alright, so currently we have some warbears, some attack dogs heading out. And it's the engineers heading for their standard. Well, not their standard. Looks like they're both, both Tingu and, no, there it is. Okay. Maniek is having his engineer run for this oil derrick here. But it is sufficient. Oh, is he gonna get it? Oh, that was close. Okay. Well, this bear. If this bear's roar is ready, nope, dog gets him. Okay, so Tingu almost managed to nail this engineer from Maniek as he was going for that oil derrick. So close, but no dice on that one. Got some conscripts coming out from Tingu. Soviet engineer caps the oil derrick. Pretty standard. Got that airfield coming down really fast from our allied player here. Power plant out on the water just as a little bit of an insurance policy. Got the wall off, already going strong. The wall game is strong with this one. Soviet infantry is trying to take some control over the center of the map. Looks like going to head over to Maniek's oil derrick and begin roasting it to the ground with those Molotov cocktails. So already have some preemptive bullfrogs anticipating that airfield and a terror drone out on the map, moving the MCV forward to claim this Ford or refinery. Or mine or refinery. So close enough. Maniek moving out with some PKs, or a single solitary PK, and beginning to harass this oil derrick just ever so slightly. Conscript just casually walking right on by him. Have a terror drone walking out, running around. Almost caught an undeployed MCV. However, that MCV does get deployed, and the allied MCV is going to go for this in the water expansion and this forward ground expansion. And my bad from earlier, Tingu is going to be doing the same thing on his Soviet MCV, as surely that would be in range of this ore mine as well. Cryocopter out, and Vindicator. We have another case of the fast tech coming out from Maniek. Let's see if he can make this work any better for him. Opens up the exact same way that he opened in game 1. However, game 1 didn't really go too well for him, but this is a new game and this is a new map, so only time will tell. What kind of tech do we have coming down for a Soviet player? Well, we have a super reactor coming down, going for more than likely some of those hammer tanks out of the war factory, as currently now he only has access to the bullfrogs and the sickles. Could be going for some airfield play as well. Get some MiGs, twin blades up in the skies, challenge the air presence of the allied Maniek, and see about getting some established air supremacy of his own. It's terror drone on about a pixel of life. I'm sure there's a pixel down there somewhere. I'm a little bit of a ore collector. I don't know what you're doing. You're being kind of derpy. What are you doing? Do you belong to a refinery? No. Did he just build it for the sake of building it? Perhaps that was a perhaps that was a misclick when he was queuing his actions from the refinery. So this terror drone is going to be followed and taken down. Think he dropped 2 bombs on that one. Stop micro could have been a little bit better, only dropping 1, but that's okay. At this point in the game, I'm not entirely convinced that really matters. As a little Maniek now has a task force of PKs and javelin troopers moving out on the right side of the map, perhaps looking to put a little pressure on this ore refinery, or see if the javelins can get laser locked onto the Soviet MCV. We have the Soviet forces moving over here to the left, bullfrogs accompanied by hammer tanks with a fresh line of conscripts to take the brunt of any fire. multi-gunner turret does go down, but it will immediately be leached or begin to be leached by these hammer tanks. Hammer tanks can outrange it though with that leech beam, so a response will be forced from these cryocopters, but that is why the bullfrogs are here. Bullfrogs will melt those cryocopters very quickly. And conscripts are generally not very healthy for a javelin trooper either. So the Soviet player is Tingu is having to contemplate a retreat, or at least back off the attack until his tanks are no longer tiny. Barracks coming back down from our Soviet player, and twin blades up in the sky as well. Double cryocopter vindicator combo up in the skies for the ally player. Armor facility down, so he has some Riptide ACVs heading out, moving around, seeing what they can see, seeing what they can do. Main front of contact is still here on the left side. Both oil derricks have been cleaned up, by the way, so neither player is getting that extra 15 cred every 4 seconds, I think. I think it's every 4 seconds. Don't 100% quote me on that, but bringing us some warbears now to support these conscripts, as there are a fair number of peacekeepers in this line, and peacekeepers just eviscerate conscripts. There's just no hope whatsoever. We do have a smoke flare coming down. That's for an orbital drop. Orbital drop drops 3 Soviet Sputnik satellites straight down on top of that multi-gunner turret. Does our allied player have another one? No, Maniek does not have another turret queued. So this means this front could be lighting up very quickly. And what do we have over here? We have a Riptide ACV, but it has been spotted more. Yes, it has been spotted by those MiGs, and Tingu is getting his twin blades to respawn. However, there are 3 Apollo fighters moving to intercept these twin blades. Are just going to try and shotgun down the Riptide ACV, but they can't do it. The Riptide still has too much. He had too much health. 2 twin blades couldn't do it. MiGs they get a cryocopter, but both MiGs do go down. Those bullfrogs will have to respond, see if they can catch these Apollo fighters, but I doubt it. No, they cannot. There's that wreck of the cryocopter right where the oil derrick was. Maniek, what are you doing with these Apollo fighters, buddy? What are you doing? They are on. 2 of them are on fire. 1 of them is veteran, but in the yellow health. Needs some repairs. Riptide ACV does wind up getting a harvester, or a collector rather, right as a twin blade shows up. That is unfortunate. We have a battle lab somewhere on this, right there. We have a battle lab right there in the Soviet base. So we have V4 rocket launchers taking the lead. He is using that precision strike warhead. Needs to be careful. It lands not actually. Wow, that actually did not do as much damage as I thought it would do. Oh, and I have totally missed it. Kirovs have taken the stage. The Kirov is reporting. The bombardiers are taking their stations, and they're just making a total mess of that refinery. And for anyone who doesn't know, the Kirov is a volatile airship, and when it falls to the ground, it does a sizable chunk of damage to anything it lands on or lands in the vicinity of. Now, however, now that that has been dealt with, the allied Maniek still has a sizable ground army, a nice contingent of infantry backed up by about 5 or so Guardian tanks with some Apollo fighters, Vindicator bombers, and or cryocopters flying support in the skies. Now, we do have hammer tanks ready to hold the line. Up front, we do have V4s already taking the stage, 2 of them using the cluster rockets. The AoE is going to be deadly against these infantry. The AoE is just going to melt. It's going to absolutely melt the infantry inside of their kill zone. Now, the Guardian tanks, are they making it? It looks like it. They're making it with the support of these cryocopters, continuously shrinking these Soviet tanks. Does give them a good opportunity to just break the Soviet lines, press forward, and make something happen. Hammer tanks are going down. There's too many Guardian tanks, and still a nice group of Javelin troopers. However, warbears are going to start popping out. Well, 1 warbear popped out in time, but does get crushed immediately by a Guardian tank. 1 hammer tank was remaining, however, does get shot by that Guardian tank. Another Kirov is out. Bullfrogs are out. Where are the Apollo fighters? Here they are. There are 3 Apollo fighters, but it will take 3 Apollo fighters a long time to pick their way through a Kirov airship. A Kirov airship, these things have a lot of health. They really have a lot. We'll have expansion going down in the south for Maniek, but that's not important right now. Orbital drop being called to try to zone out this allied tank force, if only just a little bit. The orbital drop does wind up missing altogether. Soviet MCV packs up, getting ready to go on the move. However, there is still the problem that Tingu will have to face this force, and he will have to kill it at some point. And these Apollo fighters, pretty sure that only 3 of them will run out of ammo before it dies, before the Kirov airship dies. But there are 2 multi-gunner IFVs ready to go on the anti-air detail, so this Kirov has accomplished diddly squat. Soviet player Tingu has a nice group of bullfrogs out, about 6 of them. He is more than enough to vaporize really anything other than these cryocopters. And I say that because the Maniac's micro with the cryocopters has been pretty good so far. Hitting those shrink beams every time those cryocopters get into combat. Usually pretty good about kind of babysitting his cryocopters, making sure they don't go down, taking good care of them. You know, what any good commander would do. Take care of the men. The men will like you a lot more if you take care of them. But, however, if those bullfrogs get free pickings on the Apollo fighters or the Vindicator, then that is basically lights out. Now, Tingu is kind of lacking in the armor department, not having very many tanks to work with. Cryoblast does come down, is catching 3 warbears and 2 bullfrogs. It's a nice enough catch. I mean, hey, for a free support power, that's a nice catch. Anyway, anytime you can reduce your opponent's anti-air power when you are an allies player relying on aircraft as allied players do, that is always a good idea. Kirov airship coming out again, gonna force the ground forces to retreat at least a little bit. Have some unshrunken bullfrogs over here, and Vindicator bomber does bite the dust along with ones of the cryocopters, but the javelins and multi-gunner IFVs do have enough to pick through the Kirov, but we do have dreadnoughts out on the water. The big brothers of the Soviet Navy have taken the scene. They are bombarding the shores, looking to make a difference for their brothers in arms. However, the cryocopters do engage, and they do shrink that dreadnought. Will effectively reduce its combat effectiveness to near 0. Oh, things are getting desperate. You know things are getting desperate when you're having to build flak troopers and use their mag mines on on enemy tanks. Flak trooper mag mines, they are incredibly deadly and incredibly powerful. However, if you're using them in a situation like this, that just means that the chips are on the table, your back's against the wall, and you got to use what you got. And props to Tingu, he's holding. Good, very props. Good props. Props to Tingu. Good job, Tingu. You're doing good. Now, looks like Tingu's MCV, I don't see it, either did go down, or maybe he sacked it to the Crusher Crane. It doesn't matter right now. Engagement going on. Guardian tanks pushing forward. One of them is infected. A heroic Guardian tank does get picked off by that terror drone. Another heroic Guardian tank is here, along with a heroic multi-gunner IFV. I do see a heroic Javelin Trooper in this mix as well. These terror drones, they will start to whittle away these Guardian tanks if they can get close enough, but they just can't get close enough. I can't imagine that Tingu has really too much money at all right now. I don't think he's really building very much of anything. No, here we go. They're starting up now. Okay, so building some walls, trying to zone out as long as he can. Gets the infect. No, yes, no, maybe yes. Gets the infect. Cryogeddon has just been launched. All of these buildings, they are as good as frozen. And anything caught, well, most of the things caught inside of that blast, actually, no, all of them inside that blast are as good as done. However, these cryocopters are getting milked by these bullfrogs ever so slightly. We have a heroic bullfrog. Heroic bullfrog has taken the scene. and a heroic bullfrog is just disgusting. It is absolutely nasty what it can do to an allied aircraft or to any aircraft in general. On the southern side of the map, we do have this one lone dreadnought taking the seas around the bend. You're gonna see what kind of bombardment pressure it can pull off. Maybe, sorta, kinda save the game, possibly. No, it's gonna get pounced on by some cryocopters, and as soon as Maniek realizes that they've been passed, he will sick them on him. And right there, wow, 4 Mirage tanks have taken the field, and that is Tingu selling up. That's gonna be GG. Tingu has been defeated, and congratulations to Maniek coming back in game number 2. Making that happen. Alright, very well played from Maniek that round. The early harass didn't really pay off, just like in the first game, it really didn't. However, the hold after that early harass, when you first step into like the early mid game, that hold was it was excellent. Maniek did a very nice job holding Tingu back, whether with the cryo shots or the cryocopters, constantly shrinking the Soviet tanks. Honestly, if I had to give Maniek a play of the game, that's probably it, because he stopped the Soviets or the Tingu's early push by shrinking down Tingu's only tanks, and without those tanks, he couldn't effectively push that line if he didn't have the tanks up. But since they kept getting shrunk, they couldn't push the line, so that naturally helped Maniek swing things back into his favor. Economies were nearly dead even the entire game. Looks like Maniek did take a slight little lead here for a bit, was suddenly passed by Tingu, but then here comes the point where Maniek right around here starts pushing Tingu back and just starts reclaiming all of the ground that Tingu thought that he had, and just at that point it just snowballed right out of control. Alright guys, so 15 minutes and 42 seconds. It's average length of a game, not too long, nothing too terribly fancy. It's average incomes, they weren't terribly too far off. But total income for ore collected, yeah, the proof is in the numbers right there. We have 81k to 70k, so Maniek just had more money to work with, plain and simple. However, still very well played. GG to both of these players. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, slap a like on it down below, and I'll see you in the next one. And this is Sniper, signing out.